Hey friends, it's Wilk, and before we get started with this week's episode, I want to mention a couple things real quick about a couple affiliates. Affiliates help me keep the show going, and by you using the services of one of our affiliates, I get a little kickback at no extra cost to you. So if you've ever thought about starting a podcast, Buzzsprout is a great place to start. They have some phenomenal tools, and starting a podcast is a lot easier when you've got the right tools. So join over 100,000 other people who've started a podcast with Buzzsprout, and if you click the link to them in our show notes, I'll get a little bit of something for every paid membership. So I would really appreciate that. Helps a lot to support the show. Also, online grocery shopping, it's a big thing right now, especially with the pandemic and the lockdowns and people, being sketchy about going out in the public. If you want to do some grocery shopping at home in a quick, convenient way and have that stuff delivered to your house, check out Instacart. Instacart is a phenomenal way for people to buy groceries online and have them conveniently delivered to their house. So, again, in our show notes, check out one of the banner ads, check out the links. Instacart is a great way to do a little bit of online grocery shopping and have it conveniently delivered to your house. So with that, we're going to dive right into the show. Welcome back, my friends, to the Derate podcast. I am Wilk from wilksworld.com, and this is going to be episode 30 of our podcast. And this episode is actually coming to you from a remote location in the woods in northern Minnesota. And I am in a camper, so forgive me if the quality isn't that great. I am doing the best I can. I'm up deer hunting this week. It is the second week in November 2020. I had to get away. I'm out in the woods. I brought my stuff with me, and we're going to go ahead and try and record a quick podcast here. Episode 30 is going to be called What Makes You Happy? Now, as I do every week, I want to ask the question, what have you done today to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make the world a better place? As everybody knows, we are going through some of the most turbulent times in American history. Things are just crazy all over the place. There's, people mad at each other. Half the country thinks one way, half the country thinks the other way, and there's a lot of pain, a lot of strife, a lot of grief going on. And I want to ask the question. I want to ask you directly: what makes you happy? I tell you one thing that very much makes me happy, and the reason that I bring it up is because I'm there. I'm doing what I do. I am out in the woods. I'm away from everything. I do have a generator. I've got my laptop. I've got my microphone. I'm recording this, and hopefully I can upload it through a hotspot on my phone. All those things are pretty cool, but I get very spotty coverage where I'm at, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how this goes. But what makes you happy? I love hunting. I love being out in the woods. I love being away from the daily grind of all the garbage that is going on with everything. I love being able to get away. I have very, very sparse coverage, like I said, on my cell phone. I've been able to call back and talk to my wife and see my baby on the video camera that we have in our nursery. But it's beautiful, and I love the fact that I can do it. Those things make me happy. Being able to record this and hopefully help somebody else, the thought of that makes me happy. And I'm very much hoping that something that I say in this podcast, just like I do in every podcast, does something to help somebody. Because we're trying to better the world one attitude at a time. So when I ask what makes you happy, you must first almost look at what makes you unhappy and then try to work in reverse. I know a lot of times, when it comes to, business development stuff and time management and stuff like that, they talk about, what is one of the things? It's something like a time suck or an energy suck. What are the things that take out of you the things that are going to make you great, right? Um, I, I think the same thing goes with happiness. I mean, if we're not going to live a happy life, what's worth? What's the worthiness in living, right? So we got to try to figure out what it is that makes us unhappy, and work backwards. I'll just give you an example, a current example, based on a lot of the current situations that we're going through in this country today. Three of the big things that make me unhappy, that I would consider my happiness sucks, things that suck away my happiness: big media, big tech, and big government. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Like I said, I do not want to get this podcast being political, but those are three for me. And those three things do a lot of damage to the individual psyche for so many people. That's what I truly believe. So being out here in the woods, with very little coverage, I spend very little time on my phone. I spend very little time on my computer. I can get away from all that stuff that I normally have to deal with in my everyday life, and it's a stress reliever for me. It's such a beautiful thing being out here, listening to nothing but the wind and the birds and the squirrels, and hopefully, bagging a beautiful deer to put meat in the freezer for my family. I absolutely love that. So what is it that makes you happy? I know right now, in the state of Minnesota, they just came out with a whole bunch more restrictions, and based on the COVID and the government's reaction to the pandemic or whatever, and they're fixing to do a lot of damage to a lot of livelihoods, and everybody's got their reasons, and there's people on both sides of it. But what can you do to make it through this next round of ridiculousness and stay happy? What is it that you can do to try and keep that smile on your face? And you've got to ask that question, because there's only certain things that we can control in our lives. We know that. We know that we can only control certain things. And unfortunately, when you have government officials that think that they get to rule our lives, they tend to do things that impose their will upon the individual, and we've have very little choices in how we can deal with those things. So what can we do to control our own happiness? Because ultimately, like I say at the end of every episode, it's up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. So look for those things in life. Look for those things that you can control. Look for those things that do make you happy, and try to fit that into the ridiculousness that we're dealing with in these days, right? Even if it's a little bit here and a little bit there, and you can salt and pepper it into your life in one way or another, just to get a smile once in a while, try to do the best you can. Try to do the best you can to be as happy as you can with the circumstances that were forced upon us. Because obviously, what we're dealing with in the current political climate and the pandemic crap and all that stuff, we have to still maintain a happiness within us if we have any intention of coming out on the other side and being halfway sane, halfway happy, and having a happy life. So I know in this state they're trying to say that you can only have so many people at Thanksgiving dinner, and you can have, everybody's got to wear a mask and this and that. Ask yourself, I mean, you got to really dig down deep. Do you have a family member who this is going to be their last Thanksgiving, or is this going to be the last opportunity, like I'm doing right now? And I'm not saying anybody I'm hunting with is in this boat, I hope, but is this next hunting trip or this next fishing trip going to be the last time you get to hang out with this particular person? I don't care, aunts, uncles, cousins, best friends, whatever the case. I mean, you look back at my last couple episodes, there was a time and there will come a day. there will come a time, or there was a time, and there comes a day when it's going to be the last time we get to hang out with certain people, and in my opinion, we cannot let the situation that we're having today be the end all be all in how we determine if we're going to spend time with family this Thanksgiving, or if we're going to spend time with family over the holidays, or get to hold our grandmother's hand one last time before she's gone. So I understand what they're trying to make everybody believe, and we can have our differences in opinions on those things, but you know what makes you happy is what makes you happy. Are you going to get out in the woods and get away from everything and just enjoy nature for a little while, or are you going to get together with family? Are you going to get together with family this Thanksgiving and sit around the table and talk about old stories and talk about talk with your grandmother for the last time, and because it may be the last time she gets to sit at your kitchen table for Thanksgiving. Make no mistake, we have some serious stuff we have to deal with in this country, but we cannot stop living our lives and stop doing the things that make us happy, just because some government official that really doesn't give two rips about you, or the news media tries to keep you in a scared little bubble, or big tech is suppressing stories that messed up your the future that you thought we were going to have. Whatever the case may be, just understand what makes you happy. What makes you happy. What are you going to do today to make things the way that you want them to be? So, with that, I'm not gonna carry this out too much longer. I'm like I said, I'm very much hoping I can just upload this thing through my cell phone and get it out to you guys. But what makes you happy? Do what makes you happy. And that's gonna wrap up episode 30. I would as far as a feel good story, I just want to revisit feel good story from episode 23, of an incredible bond between two youngsters. One of those youngsters had a lot of medical issues and Down syndrome when he was born, and the other is kind of like a big brother in a program. And episode 23. I did not have time. Like I said, I've been out in the woods all week, so I didn't have time to come up with this week's feel good story. But if you step back to episode 23, and I'll put that in the show notes, a link to that story again. But step back and check out episode 23, episode 23 of the podcast, keeping the peace of mind. Another very much relatable episode to this one. And doing what makes you happy. So, what makes you happy? What have you done today to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make the world a better place? So, when you get a chance to get out amongst the people, and I know now with the increased restrictions that the government's putting upon the individuals again, that's a little more difficult. But when you get out amongst the people, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything that you've got, and remember to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. So, from all of us here at Wilkes World, coming to you on location, out in the woods, in Minnesota at my deer camp, I got to tell you what, thank you very, very much for all the support, and catch you next week.